Not all coins are what they seem. Some were spent without a second thought, yet they're worth thousands, even millions today, hidden in drawers, jars, and pockets, are pieces of history waiting to be discovered. At Rare Coins, we uncover the real value, the truth behind the hype, and the coins collectors would do anything to own. Welcome to Rare Coins. Real value, real history, no hype. You've probably seen the viral posts claiming the 1955 wheat penny is worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. They'll show you a blurry photo, slap a giant dollar sign next to it, and tell you that if you have one, you're set for life. But here's the reality. Yes, the 1955 wheat penny can be incredibly valuable, but not every single one is worth a fortune. And most of the ones you'll find in circulation today aren't the legendary version at all. The truth is far more fascinating, and knowing the difference can make or break your coin's value. Let's start with the history. Back in 1955 at the Philadelphia Mint, something unusual happened during a routine penny striking process. Mint workers discovered that one of the coin dies, that's the engraved metal stamp, used to press the design into each coin, had accidentally been doubled during preparation. This mistake, known as a doubled die, meant that every coin struck with it had bold, dramatic doubling on the date and inscriptions. When we say bold, we mean you can see it without magnification. The 1955 in the date looks almost like two dates, stacked on top of each other, and the words Liberty and In God We Trust have thick shadow-like outlines. Now here's the twist. Instead of scrapping the coins, they were mixed in with normal pennies and sent into circulation. Some say this was due to the cost of restriking. Others believe it was simply missed in quality control. Either way, only about 20,000 to 24,000 of these double die pennies ever left the mint. That's not a lot when you think about the billions of wheat pennies made over the years, and that's exactly why collectors go crazy for them. But before you start emptying every jar of pennies you can find, you should know that there's a huge difference between the genuine 1955 doubled die and the far more common counterfeits or look-alike errors. Many people confuse it with machine doubling, a form of slight doubling caused by die vibration, which doesn't add much value. In machine doubling, the letters look flat and shelf-like, not rounded and thick. On a real 1955 doubled die, the doubling is strong, rounded, and almost looks like a 3D shadow. Condition is another huge factor. A heavily worn 1955 double die is still collectible, but it's nowhere near as valuable as one in mint state condition. And those rare examples that were never spent, the ones that look as if they just left the mint yesterday, are the coins that bring jaw-dropping prices at auctions. Some have crossed into six-figure territory because they combine rarity, historical significance, and pristine condition. Here's another interesting fact. The 1955 double die is one of the few U.S. coins that even non-collectors know about. Its fame has led to decades of searching, magazine articles, and even cases of fraud where altered pennies were sold to unsuspecting buyers. That's why authenticating your coin through a reputable grading service is so important. If you think you've found one, don't try to clean it. Cleaning destroys the natural surfaces and can cut the value in half or worse. Instead, handle it carefully by the edges and get it checked by professionals like PCGS or NGC. The standard 1955 wheat penny without the doubling isn't rare, but it's still a piece of history. Philadelphia struck over 330 million that year, and most were used in everyday transactions for decades. Even these can have some value in high grades, especially if they're red and lustrous. What makes the 1955 double die even more exciting is the way it entered circulation. Many of them ended up in cigarette vending machines because the cents were part of change rolls distributed to retailers. Smokers in the late 1950s may have unknowingly been pulling rare treasures along with their packs of cigarettes. Stories still circulate among old-time collectors about people finding them in pocket change well into the 1960s. And here's a detail most people miss. This isn't the only famous double die in U.S. coin history, but it's easily one of the boldest and most dramatic. That boldness is exactly why it's still on every serious collector's want list. Even decades later, When one comes up for sale in top condition, bidding wars erupt instantly. So yes, the viral claims about this coin being worth a fortune have a grain of truth. But it's not just any 1955 penny. It's the genuine double die, in exceptional condition with verified authenticity. Those are the coins that have earned legendary status. If you're a coin investor, collector, buyer, or seller, and you're serious about knowing what actually matters, Rare Coin Collecting is here to cut through the hype and give you the facts. Because when it comes to coins like the 1955 double die wheat penny, knowledge isn't just power, it's profit. People online are claiming that the Wisconsin state quarter could make you a millionaire overnight. Sounds amazing, right? They say that one single coin sitting in your change jar could be worth more than your car, your rent, or even your annual salary. But before you start tearing apart every couch cushion in your house, we need to talk about what's real and what's pure internet fantasy. Because the truth about the Wisconsin quarter is even more fascinating than the viral headlines, but in a totally different way. Let's start with the basics. The Wisconsin state quarter was released in 2004 as part of the U.S. Mint's State Quarters program, which ran from 1999 to 2008. Every state got its turn, and when Wisconsin's coin came out, it featured a design that was pure Americana, a proud dairy cow, a round of cheese, and an ear of corn. It was a nod to Wisconsin's reputation as America's dairyland and its massive agricultural history. But then something unusual happened. Collectors started noticing that some Wisconsin quarters didn't look exactly like the rest. Specifically, there were differences in the ear of corn. On most quarters, the corn had a single normal leaf. But on a small number of coins, the leaf looked different. Some had what appeared to be an extra leaf pointing upward, known as the extra high leaf variety, while others had an extra leaf pointing downward, the extra low leaf variety. These weren't design choices made by the mint. These were minting anomalies, and they got collectors talking. Now here's where the hype comes in. A few years back, when this discovery went mainstream, news outlets and social media pages ran with the story. Headlines screamed things like, "Your Wisconsin quarter could be worth thousands," and people started raiding piggy banks in a frenzy. And yes, some of these coins did sell for significant amounts when they first hit the collector market. But here's the catch. Not every Wisconsin quarter is rare, and even among the rare ones, not every coin will fetch a fortune. The U.S. Mint struck over 453 million Wisconsin quarters between the Philadelphia and Denver mints combined. Out of that massive number, only a tiny fraction carried the extra leaf varieties, and they were all from the Denver Mint. If you flip your Wisconsin quarter and see a small D under the "In God We Trust" motto, that's the mint mark. If it's a P, it's from Philadelphia, and for this variety, that means no extra leaf. So how did these extra leaves even happen? Theories range from accidental die gouges to intentional Easter eggs left by a mint worker. Officially, the mint has never given a definitive answer. That mystery has actually helped fuel the coin's legend in the numismatic community. Now let's talk value factors. First, the variety itself matters. The extra high leaf and extra low leaf are both collectible, but condition plays a massive role in price. If your coin has been sitting in circulation for years, bouncing between cash registers, it's likely covered in scratches and wear, which reduces collector value significantly. On the other hand, if you somehow have an uncirculated example, a coin that looks brand new, with full luster, then you're in a different league. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC can sometimes sell for much more, especially if they score a high grade like MS66 or MS67. And here's where the market reality comes in. Yes, top-grade examples have sold for impressive prices, but they're the exception, not the rule. Most extra leaf quarters that are in average, circulated condition might sell for much less than what you've heard in viral posts. The biggest danger here is believing the hype without checking the facts. Too many people list ordinary Wisconsin quarters online for outrageous amounts, hoping someone uninformed will bite. That's not collecting. That's just clickbait in coin form. The real story here isn't just about value, it's about history, rarity, and the detective work that makes numismatics so fascinating. Imagine the thrill of spotting that tiny extra leaf with the naked eye, knowing that out of nearly 500 million coins, you just found one of a rare handful that slipped through with a mysterious flaw. That's the kind of moment collectors live for. And if you're wondering whether it's worth checking every Wisconsin quarter you find, the answer is absolutely yes. Just know what you're looking for. Grab a magnifying glass, find that mint mark, and study the corn. If you see an extra leaf, high or low, you've got something special. Whether you keep it as part of your personal collection or decide to sell it, that's up to you. But whatever you do, don't just take the first offer you see online. Research recent sales from reputable auction houses or trusted dealers to understand the real market for your coin's condition and grade. At Rare Coins, our mission is to cut through the myths and give you the real, unfiltered truth about coins like this. No hype, no clickbait, just the facts, the history, and the details that matter to serious collectors, investors, buyers, and sellers. If you're serious about building your knowledge and protecting yourself from misinformation, you're in the right place. So the next time you hear someone claim their Wisconsin quarter is going to pay off their mortgage, you'll know better. It might be rare, it might be valuable, but the real worth of a coin, like this, is in the story it carries and the excitement of the hunt. And if you want to see more breakdowns of rare and fascinating U.S. coins, you already know what to do. Stick around here at Rare Coins. You've probably heard about the famous 1955 double die penny, the one people say is worth a fortune. But today, we're looking at a completely different coin. The 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny. This isn't the flashy Philadelphia variety with dramatic doubling. Instead, it's the Denver Mint issue, a coin most people overlook, which is exactly why so many collectors get it wrong. And if you think the 1955 has no surprises, you might want to watch closely, because there are details here that can turn an ordinary cent into a serious collector's prize. The story of this coin starts in the mid-1950s, a time when the Lincoln Wheat design had already been in circulation for over 40 years. The Denver Mint was producing cents at full speed, striking over 563 million of them in 1955 alone. That's a huge number, which is why most people assume it's common and not worth much. But as any experienced collector will tell you, mintage numbers only tell part of the story. The real value comes down to condition, mint errors, and collector demand, and that's where the 955 gets interesting. Let's talk design. On the obverse, you've got Victor David Brenner's classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the same one first introduced in 1909. The inscriptions, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" are present, along with the date 1955 and the small D mint mark just below it, showing it was struck in Denver. Flip it over, and the reverse still carries the wheat stalk design, two wheat ears framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum across the top. Now here's where things get interesting. While the 1955 doesn't have the famous doubled D obverse of its Philadelphia counterpart, it does have certain varieties and errors that collectors actively seek out. For example, there are repunched mint mark varieties, RPMs, where the D mint mark was punched into the die more than once, creating a doubled or even tripled appearance. Under magnification, you can see an extra outline or shadow of the letter. These varieties are small, but to the right buyer, they can push a coin's value far beyond face value. Then you've got die breaks and erased lines or blobs, caused by a cracked die and BIE errors, where a small die chip appears between the letters B and E in Liberty, forming what looks like an extra letter I. These are fun for collectors to find, and when in high grade, they sell well. But condition is king here. Most 1955 cents are found in circulated condition, with heavy wear from years of use. These have little collector value unless they have a rare error. However, when you move into uncirculated territory, especially coins graded MS65 or higher with blazing red luster, That's when prices can climb dramatically. Red-brown examples are worth less than full red ones, but even those can surprise you if they're well struck and free of marks. Another factor is strike quality. The Denver Mint in the mid-50s was notorious for slightly weak strikes on some issues. A sharp, well-detailed example, with clean lines in Lincoln's hair and wheat stalks, is harder to find, and collectors will pay a premium for it. And here's something most people overlook. Because the 1955 double die from Philadelphia steals all the headlines, the Denver issue often gets ignored. That means fewer collectors hoarded them early on. So finding truly pristine examples today can be much harder than people think. So the next time you come across a 1955 D wheat penny, don't just toss it aside. Check for those repunched mint marks. Look for die chips, examine the strike quality, and pay close attention to the color designation: red, red-brown, or brown. Even without the famous doubling, this coin has its own secrets, and for the right collector, they can mean serious money. Here at Rare Coins, our goal is to cut through the myths and hype and give you the real facts about what's in your pocket change or coin jar. If you're a coin investor, collector, buyer, or seller, and you want to know what actually matters, this channel is made for you.